Hello, my name's Olu Osha. I like talking about US presidents. I promised earlier to do a list of all US presidents with their respective party affiliations. So here we go. Our first president, of course, was George Washington, and he had no party affiliation. Remember, our first president, George Washington, who was elected unanimously, he's the only president to have been elected unanimously, was against partisanship and the party spirit. However, our second president wouldn't have it so good. The spirit of factionalism, partisanship had been bred, developed, and splintered into two uh, major parties within the administration of our first president. And so our first vice president, John Adams, would join the Federalist Party that was led by Alexander Hamilton, who was our first Secretary of the Treasury, and he was the main author of the Federalist Parties. So the Federalist Papers, and of course, the first party we had was the Federalist Party. So John Adams belonged to the Federalist Party. Our third president was Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson belonged to the Anti-Federalist Party, or the Democratic Republican Party. Our fourth president, a protege of Thomas Jefferson, was a member of the Democratic Republican Party, also known as the Anti-Federalist Party or the Anti-Administration Party. But now he was the leader of the administration. So James Madison, fourth president, belonged to the Democratic Republican Party, just like Thomas Jefferson. And after James Madison was our fifth president, James Monroe. James Monroe belonged to the Democratic Republican Party as well. This was the era of good feelings. We actually had de facto one party, right? We had a de facto one party because there was no party that was strong enough to rival the Democratic Republican Party. So James Monroe belonged to the Democratic Republican Party as well. He was our fifth president. Our sixth president was John Quincy Adams. He also belonged to the Democratic Republican Party when he was president. Later on, after he lost his presidency to Andrew Jackson, who's next, he would join a number of parties that were anti Andrew Jackson, including the anti-Masonic Party, because Andrew Jackson was a Freemason. He also joined the National Republican Party. He also joined the Whig Party. In any event, John Quincy Adams would have just one term as our president. He was a member of the Democratic Republican Party. He changed party affiliations later on. And Andrew Jackson was our seventh president, and he was a member of the Democratic Party, also known as the Jacksonian Democrats. It was a splinter from the Democratic Republican Party because the era of good feelings was over, and so there were many rivals who started to form parties against Andrew Jackson, who was a Democrat. It was our first president from the Democratic Party, and that's the Democratic Party that we know today, that has the jackass symbol. The jackass symbol, that's the donkey. After Andrew Jackson was Martin Van Buren, his vice president. That was his second vice president, Martin Van Buren of New York. He was the main organizer, one of the founders of the Democratic Party which we have today. After Martin Van Buren was William Henry Harrison. William Henry Harrison was the first president who was elected from the Whig Party. The Whig Party, of course, was one of the parties that was formed against Andrew Jackson. It got its name after a British anti-monarchist party, which was a Whig, which was known as the Whig Party. So Andrew Jackson's rivals, his opponents, had labeled him and disparaged him as acting like a monarch, like a king. They called him King Andrew, and so King Andrew the First, and so they formed the Whig Party, in opposition to Andrew Jackson. So William Henry Harrison was a member of the Whig Party, and after his death in office, just after 1 month, his vice president and successor, John Tyler, was initially of the Whig Party, but he got kicked out of the Whig Party, and he was actually really a lifelong Democrat because he was a slave owner from Virginia. So he was originally a Democrat, but he joined the Whig Party, and after he became president, he was known as His Excellency because he was the first vice president to succeed a deceased a president who died in office. It was known as His Excellency. He got kicked out of the Whig Party, and then he formed the Tyler Party because nobody would have him. He formed the Tyler Party. They were unsuccessful. He had 1 term in office, and after him was James Knox Polk. James Knox Polk was a member of the Democratic Party. He had been a protege of Andrew Jackson and Martin Van Buren. So James Knox Polk of Tennessee and born in North Carolina was from the Democratic Party. After James Knox Polk was Zachary Taylor. Zachary Taylor was from the Whig Party as well. And after he died in office, just after over a year, his successor was Millard Fillmore of New York. Millard Fillmore was also a member of the Whig Party. Millard Fillmore would also form, after he was kicked out of, he didn't get a second term. He tried to run again for office, but on the platform of what came to be known as the Know Nothing Party. The Know Nothing Party, also called the American Party. They were a xenophobic, anti-immigrant, anti-Catholic party, and so he joined the Know Nothing Party later on. But so that's Millard Fillmore. After Millard Fillmore was Franklin Pierce was a member of the Democratic Party. After Franklin Pierce was our 15th president, James Buchanan, who was also a member of the Democratic Party. Abraham Lincoln was the first successful president to run on the Republican Party platform. The Republican Party, which has the elephant as as a mascot. That's the party that we have today, the Republican Party, the GOP. They have the elephant as their mascot because they were so powerful, they were so big after the Civil War. They were the party that won the Civil War and preserved the Union, and so the patronage system and spoil system belonged to them, and so they were so big at that time. So the elephant was was their mascot. After Abraham Lincoln was his vice president, Andrew Johnson. After Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in office, Andrew Johnson belonged to the Democratic Party and then the National Unity Party. After Andrew Johnson was Ulysses Grant. Ulysses Grant was, of course, our commanding general of the U.S. Army, Union Army, during the Civil War, and he won the Civil War on behalf of the Union and preserved the Union. He was a member of the Republican Party. After Ulysses Grant was our 19th president, Rutherford B. Hayes was also a member of the Republican Party. After Rutherford B. Hayes was James Garfield, also a member of the Republican Party. He was assassinated in office. He didn't die immediately, but he died several weeks after being shot by the lunatic job seeker, disgruntled job seeker Charles Guiteau, who was actually a lawyer as well. But anyway, and James Garfield was a member of the Republican Party. His vice president, Chester A. Arthur, was a member of the Republican Party as well. After Chester A. Arthur came Grover Cleveland, who was a Democrat. He was a member of the Democratic Party. Our 23rd president was Benjamin Harrison, who was a grandson of William Henry Harrison. He was a member of the Republican Party. And after William Henry Harrison was Grover Cleveland again, the first president to have two non-consecutive terms He was a he was a member of the Democratic Party, as I mentioned. And after his second term in office, that's after Grover Cleveland's second term in office, was William McKinley. William McKinley was our 25th president. He was a Republican. And after William McKinley was assassinated in his second term was Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was a Republican as well. After Teddy Roosevelt was William Howard Taft, who was also a Republican. After William Howard Taft was defeated by the Democrat professor, the only president with a PhD, that's Woodrow Wilson, Dr. Woodrow Wilson. He was a Democrat. After Woodrow Wilson was Warren G. Harding, who was Warren G. Harding was a Republican. When he died in office, his vice president took over, who was also a Republican. That's Calvin Coolidge. After Calvin Coolidge was Herbert Hoover, who was also a Republican. But the Republicans managed the economy so badly, they devastated it, caused the Great Depression, and they were booted out of office, and in came the Democrats, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So Roosevelt was a member of the Democratic Party. He won 4 terms, and his Democratic vice president succeeded him. That's Harry Truman. Harry Truman, also a Democrat. And after Harry Truman left office, Dwight D. Eisenhower was a Republican as well. After Dwight D. Eisenhower was John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was a Democrat. John F. Kennedy was assassinated in office, and the 36th president was Lyndon Johnson, also a Democrat. After Lyndon Johnson was Republican Richard Nixon. When Richard Nixon resigned in his second term, Gerald Ford, his vice president, would succeed him. He was also a Republican. The Republican Gerald Ford was lose to the Democrat from Georgia, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was from Georgia. He was a Democrat. He would lose to Ronald Reagan, our 40th president, who was also a Republican. He had 2 terms, and his vice president, George Herbert Walker Bush, would succeed him, and he was a Republican. And George H.W. Bush would lose to Bill Clinton, who was a Democrat. Bill Clinton was succeeded by George W. Bush, son of George H.W. Bush. George W. Bush was a Republican like his father. George W. Bush was succeeded by Bill Clinton. George W. Bush was succeeded by our only African American president, Barack Obama. He was a Democrat. And Barack Obama was succeeded by our incumbent president, but at that time he was number 45, Donald Trump. He's a Republican, and his 2 presidencies got sandwiched in between, Joe Biden, or Joe Biden got sandwiched between the 2 presidencies of Donald Trump, who's our 45th and 47th president, and he's a Republican. Joe Biden was a Democrat, is a Democrat. Joe Biden is alive and well. He's a Democrat. And as I said, Donald Trump is a Republican. Barack Obama is a Democrat. So we have a Republican back in office. He's the second person to have 2 non-consecutive terms. He's number 45 and number 47. There you have it. I was able to do this in under 14 minutes. I'll title this video, All American Presidents in 15 minutes. My name is Olu Osha. I like talking about American presidents, and I draw attention to color of law violations, pivoting on subornation of perjury and fraud on the courts in order to obstruct justice in an EEOC, Office of Special Counsel, and Inspector General's complaints concerning misconduct in the Department of Defense and Department of Navy, which I filed, and it's been an egregious abuse of our legal system, a miscarriage of justice in Montgomery County, Maryland. My human rights, my civil rights, my constitutional rights, my dignity have all been impugned. My fundamental rights have been violated. I've been prevented by Judge James Bonifant and Montgomery County's Circuit Court, their criminal justice system, from working. I'm an American citizen and I've been dehumanized, I've been abused. There's been a perversion of justice in Maryland after I suffered a swatting and police brutality in my home on May 16, 2023, based on false allegations. A false crisis call was made. I was shot in the head. I sustained scarring in my head. My family hasn't seen me. My family's in Nigeria. My mom's in Nigeria. They're eager to see me. My mom's 84 years old, and the criminal justice system in Maryland is very corrupt. It's straight out of the ark. It's racist. It's xenophobic. It's corrupt, and I'm calling out to Americans. My family has reached out to the United Nations that I should get justice in Maryland, and I had no idea that such criminal conduct and abuses could occur in America. My name is Olu Osha. I'll keep you posted. Thank you.